Hey, it's Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD, here on my Magical Monday noon Facebook Live broadcast, and bringing you what I like to start my week off with on the right foot is a way to get in the right frame of mind, get my right attitude, because as you know, I am a holistic doctor. Yes, I'm a medical doctor, but what I love is practicing holistic care. What does that mean? Does that mean to tell you, preach about what vitamins to take or what diets are good for you? Well, a little bit of that, yeah, that's important. But what I look to live and to share is true holistic care, and that means balancing mind, body, and spirit, and understanding that the mind and the spirit go into our wellness so much more actually than any pill we might be able to take, or any prescription we might be able to take, any diet we might be able to be on. You may have heard the pundits who say that, well, if you're only on a gluten-free diet, or if you're only on a low-carb diet, or if you're only on a lectin-free diet, then you'll be happy. Then your life will be more fulfilled and you'll be healthier. Well, there may be some truths in that, and your body may be a little bit better, but really holistic care is understanding yourself, being truly understanding yourself, truly knowing yourself, and truly taking control of your mind and your spirit and your attitude and your thoughts. And all of this, to me, is so much more important than anything we can do. So what I'd like to talk to you today about, to get your week off started, is how we define ourselves, what we think about ourselves, how we label ourselves, and how that will influence how we go forward in our lives, on our week, on our path this week. Because what happens is we often, all of us, will define ourselves by maybe how tall we are, or what ethnicity we are, or what political party we're affiliated with. And surely that's a big spot, especially in the United States these days. What political party you define yourself as, you have to dig your heels in very deeply, because if you are that party, if you define yourself as a Democrat or Republican, that means you have to, every single part of that, whatever's going out in the policies these days, you have to dig your heels in and you have to agree with. Well, you don't have to. You have the choice to do that. And that's what I mean about deciding how and looking about how you define yourself. Does it limit you or does it expand you? So I find in my career as a doctor, many patients have come to me defining themselves by their illness. Oh, I'm a diabetic. I'm a hypertensive. I'm a fibromyalgia patient. And when we define ourselves by our illness, it changes our body. It changes our attitude. It makes us go forward, and we're supposed to almost behave as though we are sick and that we are that illness. So when we define ourselves, it limits us rather than expands us. So if you, for instance, label yourself or define yourself as a Democrat, does that limit you to thinking anything that might be what somebody else who labels themselves as a Republican might think? Or vice versa? I have a feeling that it doesn't expand yourself. It doesn't elevate you. It doesn't make your life better, really. What it does, it condenses one into a narrow scope of thinking, which can only cause us to feel imbalanced if something outside of that goes wrong. And so what do I mean by outside of that? Well, why do we do this in the first place? That's the question. Well, as a lot of you who know from my writing and what I talk about a lot, is what I call our automatic brain, our primitive nature. And our primitive nature only knows one thing. It knows to try to protect us from danger, threat, or vulnerability. And anything out of our comfort zone, anything unexpected, anything unfamiliar, our brain will automatically detect as potentially dangerous to us, and it causes us to fight or flee back into it. So if we define ourselves by our illness, I know a lot of people who I've seen over the years who actually, it's dangerous to be well. Because when they're well, it means that they might have to act in life in a certain way that they're unfamiliar with. And that's dangerous. So they fight or flee back into the illness. And even when there's a term in medicine that we say secondary gain. Secondary gain means that illness serves a purpose. It serves a purpose maybe of attention seeking. It serves a purpose maybe of getting love. There are certain instances where many people have come to me where they feel that the only way they're going to get love from their parents or other people in their family is if they're sick. Then they'll get that, they'll feel that warmth and that peace and that security because they're consoled. And to be well actually is dangerous. So we fight and flee back into the labels that we give ourselves. And I also, we said, well, okay, we have this brain, this automatic primitive nature. If we have that, well, isn't there anything else? Yeah, well, there is. And that's where the spirit and the mind come in. Because the spirit and the mind is something greater, is our consciousness, is our connection with the divine. It's something much greater than this primitive nature, which we often are constantly reacting to in our everyday lives. Fight or flight's not all about if somebody comes up to you and threatens you with a gun. Yeah, that is fight or flight. You'll feel it. But it's also in our interactions with the world and our interactions with ourselves. And